Are you looking to excel in your next cloud architect technical interview? If so, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Michael Gibbs and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Architects, and we're an organization dedicated towards building high-performance cloud computing careers. I've been working in technology for well over 25 years, and I've been coaching and mentoring others for over 2 decades. Today we're going to give you 5 cloud architect interview questions or solution architect interview questions, whichever term you prefer, to help you prepare for your first cloud architect role or your first solutions architect role. When we give you these 5 questions, what we're really looking for is the following. Do you know the materials, but more importantly, can you communicate the materials? That's one of these key things. So focus on your communication and delivery at least as much as your technology knowledge, because if you know it but can't explain it, the hiring manager is still never gonna know. So let's talk about some questions. The first question we're gonna present today is, when connecting to AWS, when would you use a direct connection and when would you use a VPN? So what we're trying to figure out here is, do you know the differences, architecturally speaking, and the strengths and weaknesses of each approach? So people would know to use a direct connection for the following reasons. They need guaranteed bandwidth, and they need guaranteed latency, and they need guaranteed performance. See, with a direct connection, there's some things that happen along the way, but it's effectively like you have a wire between 2 different locations. And the latency on the wire doesn't change. And if you've got a 10 gigabit link, you're going to always have 10 gigabits. And that's what's so good about a direct connection. It's basically a wire. The latency is consistent, meaning how long it takes to go from both ends of the wire. So the latency is consistent and the performance is consistent. The bandwidth is consistent. If you've got 10 gigs, you're always going to get 10 gigs. By comparison, a VPN is you connect to the internet on both sides, and then you create a tunnel and you encrypt your data over the internet. So the internet's not private, and that's why you have to encrypt your data. When you use a VPN, it's typically cheaper because you're not buying a direct connection from 2 different locations. You're just connecting to the internet. VPNs are really simple to set up because you can basically create any connection to any place that has internet connectivity, which is wonderful. Here's the problem with VPNs. Getting to the internet is one thing, but internet bandwidth and performance is not guaranteed. Your internet service provider may guarantee you access to them, but once you get on their network and off their network and on the internet, there are no guarantees. Internet is basically what's called best effort delivered, meaning if I try to reach a web page, it doesn't mean it's going to get there. It should, it'll try, but it's not guaranteed. It's best effort, which means the performance on the internet can be all good, perfect, or horrible. There's no guarantees. The other thing there's no guarantees of is latency. So over a wire, if it takes 3 milliseconds or 4 milliseconds, it's always going to do that. But when you're dealing with the internet, because your speed is not guaranteed, your performance is not guaranteed, and your latency is not guaranteed, you can run into variations in latency. So if message 1 takes 2 milliseconds, and message 2 takes 100 milliseconds, and the message 3 takes 5, message 2 is going to arrive long after message 3, and that may be a problem. So VPNs are good because they're economical, they're easy to set up, and they're cheap. But the problem with VPNs is there's no guaranteed performance, there's no guaranteed latency, there's no guaranteed jitter, meaning variations in latency that are not to occur. So you use a direct connection when you need to guaranteed performance, and you use a VPN, basically speaking, if your needs are flexible. The next thing we were going to ask you today in these solution architect interview questions to help you master your cloud architect technical interview is, what is BGP and why is it used? So we want you to know that BGP is an exterior gateway protocol, that it's a path vector protocol that operates on TCP port 179. We want you to know that BGP is used because it's an exterior gateway protocol, and when you can connect an entity to an external entity, that's when you use exterior gateway protocols, and that's why organizations use BGP to connect to AWS or GCP as opposed to something like OSPF or EIGRP, because they're using an exterior gateway protocol. The other reason BGP is used is it's highly tunable and highly scalable. For example, an internet routing table is basically 750,000 routes, and BGP can easily handle that, whereas an interior gateway protocol could not. So that's why organizations use BGP to connect to external entities like AWS. The next question, I want you to think about this. And the reason you got to ask these kind of cloud architect advisor questions is that cloud architect is an advisor. They're a business strategist and they're a designer. So Let's say you're asked the question. You are designing a video streaming solution on the cloud, and the application developers don't know whether you should use TCP or UDP. Which should they choose and why? So the reason you might be asked a question like this is people really want to understand if you understand what TCP is and UDP is. So for example, if you're designing a video streaming solution, it can't be TCP, it must be UDP. So TCP is used for reliable transport, UDP is used for real time. Why can't you use TCP for streaming? Here's the reason. Let's say I had a sentence, Mike likes BGP. Mike likes BGP, that's the sentence. If I send it via BGP, via UDP, and the message was Mike BGP, that's fine because it lost the word like. Now, it's preferable if it comes out as Mike likes BGP, but if it just says Mike and BGP, that's fine. What if the message by comparison basically was delivered out of order because TCP retransmits the data? What if it says like BGP Mike because Mike came out of order? That's what could happen on TCP with retransmissions. So all streaming things must be UDP. UDP is better, faster for these applications. There's no sliding windows. Performance is going to be what it's going to be, and there's no retransmission of lost data. So now you know if you're ever asked by a hiring manager if you would design a solution, how you would do it. For real-time streaming, that means voice or video, it must be UDP. The next question is one of those behavioral presentation kind of questions, and they're going to ask you very frequently. I've been asked this on a lot of interviews. What is CXO relevancy, and what does it mean to present differently to a CXO versus an engineer? Well, first you need to know that a CXO is a C-level executive. When you present to the CXO, your presentation must be very different. For the most part, they're not technical people. Even at the CIO level, they're executives. Executives are extremely busy people. Because they're so busy, they're going to have an attention span of a few seconds at max. So you got to get your concept to the executive out to the point, and you must talk about things that they care about. The CEO is tasked with the organization's strategy and increasing shareholder value and improving their performance, meaning revenue growth or profitability growth. The CEO cares about that. So when you present tech to the CEO, you have to show that's what's going to happen. The CFO cares about the organization's finances. They're the gatekeeper of the organization's money. When you're presenting to the CFO, you better be really good at basically doing some ROI modeling and showing that the value provided by your solution provides greater value and savings or profitability to the company than its cost. You have to do that. And when you're speaking to the chief information officer, they need to know that your technology solution is going to meet the CEO's goals and needs. So you've got to present this, and then it's going to work. Now, when you're dealing with engineers, they might need a lot of depth, and so you have to present the right message for the right audience at the right time. So presenting to executives, short, to the point, and the solution. Presenting to engineers, you might have to also go deep in the weeds of how it works, but that's the difference. As an architect, you're going to be with executives, and you're also going to be with engineers, and you have to be able to speak all the languages, so you may get asked this question. The next question that's pretty common, it's another behavioral question, and it is, how does your background and experience prepare you to be a solution architect? This is one that gets really tricky. First and foremost, you need to understand the solutions architect role. The solutions architect is an architect, they're a systems designer. That means they are not a sysup person, they are not a DevOps person, they are not a programmer. So if you start talking about those things, they don't necessarily prepare you to be an architect. What does prepare you to be an architect? Communication skills, presentation skills, and knowledge of all the systems you're going to be interacting with, which is the network and the data center. So if someone says to you, well, how does your background and experience prepare you to be an architect? Tie those things in. My background and experience helped me to be a great architect because I worked in sales for several years. And in those several years that I worked in sales, I learned how to communicate with executives, how to consult with executives, how to consult with clients, ask their needs, and design a solution that would work for them and persuade them that it was the right solution. In addition to the time that I spent in sales, I spent a lot of time in networking, and networking is the foundation of the cloud. And so that helps prepare me. And I've spent the last year learning about cloud computing. And I've learned about the AWS, the GCP services, and oh, by the way, I also have an extreme security background, and I'm a CISSP. So I know how to design the network, how to design the security systems, and how to communicate with executives. And the few things that I need to learn, I can learn. That's how a new cloud architect that doesn't have a lot of cloud computing experience still gets hired. You got to show them the background and the experience that matters. So if you say, I've got these certifications, that's not going to be the win. If you say I know how to do Python scripts, again, it's not going to be a win for a solution architect job. It will be for a sysops job, but not for a solution architect job. So when you're preparing for a solution architect, talk about the things that matter. Your soft skills, your emotional intelligence, your presentation skills, your design skills, your knowledge of the network of the data center. Those are things that are going to close it for you. Those are things you go for the win. So today, what do we talk about? The differences between a direct connection and a VPN and when you would use them. What is BGP and why you would use it? If you were going to design a video streaming application, would you use UDP or TCP? So we talked about the need to use UDP for real-time applications. We then talked about CXO relevancy and how do you present to the CXO versus the engineer. And then we talked about how you answer the behavioral question, how does your background and experience prepare you to be a solutions architect? Now, on that example, I just made up a person who happened to work in sales and had some tech background, and I was just trying to show you how their background and experience could make them a great cloud architect. You got to show the hiring manager that you're the right person for the job and that your background and experience can make their life better. So that's why we talked about that. I'd like to thank you for watching this video and I'll tell you about some offers we have to help the cloud computing community. Every Monday and every Friday, we have a completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. And on this webinar, we spend an hour presenting and we tell you everything you need to do to get hired. And after we spend an hour presenting, we open it up and we let you ask questions in these live Zoom sessions, and we will answer any questions you have about how to plan your career or build your career or get your first cloud architect job. Again, we do that free on Mondays and Thursdays. The link is in the description below. Now, on every Tuesday, we kind of have this fun online Zoom party. People come from all over the world and I give them a cloud architect experience. I present a challenging situation of a client, and the students that attend this free call, they come in and they design an architecture. It's a migration from a data center to the cloud, which is one of the most common things you'll ever do in your career. So we do that as free training for the community. It's lots of fun. We do it every Tuesday. Now, most Wednesdays, but not all, but when we have time, we do a completely free YouTube Live. And on this YouTube Live, we will answer any cloud architect career questions. You know, if you want to ask us what certifications to do, what skills to learn, things to get hired, we do this completely free, and we do it on most Wednesdays at 9 a.m., but not all. And when we talk about times, we're talking about Eastern time zone. If you're working on certification, we've got lots of great options for you. We are going to be doing a completely free and live AWS Advanced Networking course on the week of July 13th. I'll leave the link in the description below. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a live class. We're going to basically have 20 minutes of lecture followed by 10 minutes of questions every day for the 4 or 5 days that we run this class. We did one for the Certified Solution Architect Professional. 7,000 plus people attended. Lots of people called us and told us how happy they were, so that's why we're doing this completely free. If you are working on the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate, we have a completely free course and book. I'll leave the link in the description below. And if you're looking for the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional Exam and Training, we have a completely free course. Again, I'll leave the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. We love to connect with you via YouTube. We're very grateful to be part of this community, and we're so thankful you saw this video, and we will see you in another video very soon.